Welcome to the Dr. Philgood, our weekly broadcast on trauma recovery, cellular health, and real-life healing from the inside out.
This series is proudly sponsored by the Patrick Risha CTE Awareness Foundation, whose mission is to prevent CTE through education and early intervention.
A mission that's critical for families like ours navigating brain injury, behavioral changes, and long-term caregiving.
You can visit them at stopcte.org.
Well, hello, David. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Fru. How are you doing?
A little bit tired, but I'm so glad to be
I
here.
can understand why.
Why?
Well, there's a lot of work being married to me.
Oh, I thought you mean you understand why I'm excited to be here.
Oh.
You
I
don't
thought
understand
said
that part?
Tired.
Or that's just not what you were talking about?
I wasn't what I was talking about.
I'm going to talk about living with a brain that shouldn't have survived today. How'd you like that?
I think it's impressive.
You know what
Conversation
this
I'd
is
like to be
all
a part
about?
of.
This is all about you, David.
Well,
All
gosh
about you.
darn it. How interesting.
I know everybody's sitting on pins and needles to hear about your childhood.
Oh, man.
And then about how you and I met.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. You want to jump into
Well,
tell everybody
I'll tell you this.
what?
April 4th, 1974 is my birthday. And on April 3rd, 1974, started what's called the super outbreak. And 148 tornadoes came down from the heavens in the United States.
Holy cow.
It was
100 and how many?
48.
148 tornadoes. Here you come.
Yep, here I come. And my mom put, how I know about this, except I didn't know, and I don't believe anyone in my family know that, did you start the timer? That, I'm so sorry, it says 4:44 right there, and I'm excited.
I can tell.
That they put it in a photo album. It started my book. My mom made one for all of us, and she put little captions under it and under the pictures to let us know what.
Did
year
she took
was
it as a
and
sign and realized
She
that your
said
life is going to be a tornado?
Yes, she said the day David was born, and there was a picture of a church that was 20 miles from where we pastored the church at, and it was wrecked. I
Like
mean,
our chicken coop?
Oh, way worse. It was a piano sitting on top of a pew, and it was just a disaster. And there was a clock laying. I remember specifically, I've seen this picture a million times, a piano and a clock, and just pews and stuff everywhere. It ripped it and made it into splinters. Kind of looks like what we have outside, yes.
Yeah, but other than that, you had a pretty good childhood.
Yes, I was born in a
You
tornado.
had lovely
I had
parents
a dream.
coming up,
Like you-
and you had actually you had an older sister and an older brother when you were born, correct?
Two siblings when I was born. I
Yeah.
had an older sister that's 6 years older than me, and a 4-year-old brother. Four-year-old brother when I was born.
Yeah.
And then when I was 4 years old, I had a little sister.
Awesome. But let's go a little bit forward in time
Okay.
and talk about what happened when you were 15 years old.
Yay. Me and my brother were walking into the mall, and we had just moved recently to the west. I don't really know how long, but it was months we'd lived there. And it was out in New Mexico. And some cowboys were having a little too much fun and drinking and driving through the parking lot, and just about ran us over. And so one of us yelled out. I don't know. I can't remember. One of us yelled out at them, and they stopped and slammed on the brakes and jumped out of the truck and ran over, and they were coming after me like it was, I would be, I guess because I had a black leather jacket on and looked like the type, I was a nerd trying to look cool is what it was. And they came running over, and my brother stepped up to take up for his brother, and one of them, Jack slapped him so stinking hard, I think it made him realize this is real. And he had never been in a situation, neither one
He's
of
never
us.
been slapped, probably.
Oh, he had been slapped, trust me. My
He'd
family,
been slapped?
my mom and dad
Slapped?
keep you straight. Not only slapped, I wash your mouth out with soap.
Oh, okay. But probably didn't slap like a 30-year-old cowboy would.
No, not at all. My dad's hands are so soft and sweet, and the only
And
kind
your dad is not a cowboy.
and no, he's not. Well, don't tell him that. One time he thought he put his cowboy boots on, went to sleep. Mom said, "What are you doing laying in bed with his cowboy boots on?" He said, "Because I'm a cowboy."
No, but I'm serious, dude.
If I die, I want to die with my
Tell
boots
us
on.
about your
Okay.
dad.
My dad?
Yeah.
Oh, he's the sweetest, kindest man.
What does he do for a living?
Oh, he's a pastor.
Yeah, he's not
Preacher.
a cowboy.
No, not a cowboy.
Okay.
Okay, that's what you're
Okay.
getting at. So sorry. Hey, sorry, everyone. There's
So,
cameras
anyways, so you.
So let me finish.
Oh
that
yeah,
story.
sure. Go ahead.
So that popped him and said, "Get out of here, or we're going to beat you up too." My brother ran for help. I was standing there, left in the Wild West. I had no guns. We did have a gun in the car. He didn't go get it. They pulled a knife on me, like if they weren't mean and tough enough, that they pulled a knife on me. And so probably what sounded like a smart aleck remark probably saved my life, because they were drunk. You know what you're going to get into when someone's drunk. They could have stabbed me. But the remark of, "We're in the West, I'm 15, you're twice as," I'm a believer in what I said. I know who I am. Of trying to figure this thing out. What am I going to do? I remember one moment specifically, it changed my life forever. The amount of fear I felt and the kind of fear I felt. I knew my life was done. Someone was getting ready to take my life.
But
I
isn't
felt.
it when that kind of unexpected courage comes
that's
out
when
of
something-
people?
yes, absolutely.
When you know that you are the small person and you can get hurt really
Yes.
really bad.
So this is where my first blackout happened. And I don't know if they knocked me out or if the blackout came from rage. But what happened was that fear hit me. It changed my life. That fear I've never felt ever again. And when I felt it, I blacked out. So I don't know what happened physically, other than I had a scratch, not even stitches. They found my glasses. It looked like someone just went like this to my glasses. But I had one scar here when I went to court.
And this is a
35,
podcast,
40
so I'm
days
just gonna
later.
tell the
Yes,
listeners
on the right
that
eye.
he's talking about his right eyebrow.
Yeah, right across my right eyebrow. I had a scar, a scratch. And I don't know about my eyes being black or any of that. I don't remember that ever being the case. I do know that my mom was on the radio talking about it and getting everybody in town. She was ticked off. Everyone watched it happen.
Of course.
And so when we went to court, that the judge mentioned that he wanted to know who was suing who because they were beat up. I don't know how I did it, but somebody got a hold of them and left them looking like they got in a fight with somebody, a bunch of somebody.
So maybe your dad is a cowboy. I'm
Maybe
just
my
kidding.
dad is a cowboy.
Okay, so how did that change your personality?
Okay. Before that, I wasn't a psycho. I did have a bit of a Popeye mode. My brother used to hold me down and tickle me until I would snap, and he would do it to see me snap. So I did have a what I called Popeye because Popeye eats the spinach and then he turns into super strong. But before that, he's this little sailor dude. Mm-hmm. I eat me spinach because I eat me. That I literally would do that song when my brother was doing it to warn him I was coming. And he got a kick out of it. So I know that I had that inside me, but I didn't have the heart to hurt anybody. Like I remember like thinking after this, all the fights, I got into fight after fight after fight.
But I remember you saying something like throwing a remote at your sister
Yeah.
or something
Oh,
like
yeah.
that, which
It,
was
it hurt her forever.
new
I still
for
hear
everybody.
about it. Yep. That was something that my brother might do. He was very short triggered or hair triggered. He got kicked out of every basketball game we ever played. It's technical foul and sat on the corner. Matter of fact, get out of the gymnasium. He had a temper, but I didn't have that temper until after this, and I snapped. Like my sisters told that story.
Mm-hmm.
I threw a remote at her. I put my head through sheetrock.
So what were your parents
Punched
thinking
brick
when
walls.
they saw that?
They thought I was
Your
demon
personality.
possessed.
Yeah.
They literally thought a devil had possessed me.
How did that make you feel?
I kind of giggled. I've been through a lot, so I don't feel like it affected me outside where anyone could notice it, but inwardly, I wanted to kill myself because of that.
Because you believed it, or
No, I did. Yes, something was wrong with me.
you
And-
felt it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I couldn't figure out what it was. I didn't know. Something was different, and I didn't understand it.
What did that make you feel? Disconnected, or not loved, or just out of place, or
Out of place. I wondered all kinds of things at that point. I also cut myself, and I started inflicting pain on myself. I remember taking a metal hanger, and straightening the end of it out and ripping my skin across here. No one, I was apostolic. So we didn't have short sleeves even back then.
You could hide it easily.
I hid everything. No one ever knew it.
That's actually very common that people do. Trauma survivors and anybody with like brain chemistry imbalances. Not everybody, but I'm saying it's very common among those people.
I also had thoughts of, like, that was the first time I literally thought of suicide. And I didn't think of it as suicide back then. I thought something was weird about, like when I would drive.
Yeah.
It only happened when I was driving. And when I drive it, I would have this urge to drive into a passing semi or a big wall.
But on the other side, you're a really smart kid.
Yeah, well, it's like top 50 of the United States.
And you were homeschooled until what?
No one knew I was that smart except the homebody until I was 15. And I went to, after this happened.
Yes.
I decided I wanted to go to public school and play football. And I was such an oddball to that idea that the guy at the school laughed at me and said, "You're going to get hurt. You can't play." I remember him sitting across the table from me and my mom, and I'm in a suit and tie. My mom took me to high school. For the first day, my mom took me.
So your parents
And I had a
agreed
suit and tie
for
on.
you
Oh,
to
no,
go
they
to...
didn't agree with it. I told
So
them I was going to go live with Jimmy Westfall if he didn't let me.
Oh, okay.
Who was my best friend at that time. I just met him that year. He was friends with one of my cousins, and I met him that way, and he was a star running back and the state champion wrestler since he was in junior high. He had been winning state champion wrestling since
What
then.
did you guys like to do together?
Everything. We did everything together. Him and I enjoyed fighting mostly. But no, he laughed at me a lot. I think I made him, we were opposites. So it was really, you've seen how opposites attract.
Yeah.
I recall him, the first time I got stoned, Jimmy was there, and I danced.
It's funny when you said stoned, and I literally saw you I'm like, you got stoned? Man, you survived a lot.
Well, there was this famous bong, I think called Bertha, a 3-foot bong. And the funny thing I think Jimmy liked to do more than anything was I was a virgin to everything.
Yeah.
I was washed white as snow. and crazy as he was.
Unexpected reactions to things.
Absolutely.
Which is very funny.
He liked that. And then, of course, I think he showed me off that way. So my first year of high school, here comes this little nerd that's already been in the news. You know, anybody's heard the radios, heard this dude got beat up and by 3 really well-known cowboys that were over 30. So these are grown men who had a reputation. And so I was well-known without wanting to be. And I got to school, I had to stand up for myself. This one and that one wanted to, take me out. And it was a school that back then there was a fight out west. It was really out west, wild, wild west.
So the school accepted you, correct?
Yes. So I placed, made me take a placement test. And they said I was in second year college level on
so you were way ahead of everybody.
And said, we really don't have nothing to offer you. And I said, well, I've never taken chemistry. And I've told these stories all my life. So what's real and what's not, like if I sit and talk to my mom about it, she's got a different version, I'm sure.
Well, we'll invite her.
Yeah, ask some. I'd like to talk to the counselor that tried to talk me out of playing football. Wow, that's so funny. But I was advanced. But I'd never taken chemistry in a lab. That was my argument. Like I've never held a vial or flask or whatever you guys call them things and blew up the school. I hadn't taken economics. There was a lot of stuff on that list that I was interested in, and I listed them all off. And matter of fact,
and one of those was contact sports.
Oh, absolutely. One of the classes you could take in school was football. Mm-hmm. It was an actual period. So I had 6 periods. I had 7 periods.
Man, and I only have 1.
I went.
It still causes such a trouble.
That was a good one. I thought you were ketogenic or what is it that you can't think of on the spot? Man, you did good. Congratulations.
Thanks.
What were we talking about? Because that was really a good
something
one.
That
the school.
I don't really know what that
periods.
Means. Yeah.
So school started at 7:45 or 8 o'clock for everybody, except for me. Mine was an hour early. And people that did that were people that were behind and needing to catch up on.
And you just wanted to take too many classes.
I did.
Okay.
I graduated a year early. I just turned 17, so actually 2 years early. I graduated in May and I turned 17 in April. And I don't know why I took that many classes. I don't know why. Other than I wanted to, I don't know why I would have had to. So I went to public school 1/2 semester. That's how bad I wanted to go to school, a public school, after I hit my head. It was 1/2 of a semester left for the whole school year. And I wanted to play football so bad. Football season was over. But this team still practiced, it was a period. So I wanted to be with Jimmy. And he wanted to go watch me get the bell rung out of myself and then watch me beat somebody up. And I don't even know if I beat anyone up. I always know I didn't lose. You can't beat someone that jumps back up and says, hey, do it again. That's how I was. I was crazy.
Right. So, again, fast forward a little bit. You got married really young.
I was 20 when I got married.
Yeah, well, I know.
More 19.
You may think that's not very young, but where I come from, that's kind of unheard of. So yeah, you got married very young, and then you had a little girl being born.
She was born I turned 20. She was born 11 days later.
All right, so I don't without getting too much of the details of your marriage and all that. I know that your life changed.
It changed everything.
Dramatically.
Yep.
And so becoming a father wasn't the only thing that changed
Before
that time.
changed.
Yes.
At 17, I got into another altercation that caused amnesia.
Okay.
And so that, I was headbutting people like crazy. I was headbutting walls.
And then didn't you have like a spiritual experience around that time as well when you were 17?
Oh, yeah. So I got a full ride scholarship, and I wanted to be a doctor.
Okay.
And it wasn't for scholastics I was one of the fastest people in high school and in college. So when I did hit people, and I hit a lot, I didn't have the talent and the experience to know all the plays and what to do and what not to do. But what I did do was they put me on special teams, which is like where they do the kickoff and the kickoff return. So every time someone scores, they do a kickoff. I was on that, coming all the way 100 yards across the field to hit somebody. Same thing on return. So I did that.
So many had injuries, basically.
Lots of times. I dislocated my shoulder. I was going so fast and hitting so hard that I dislocated my shoulder, both of them, like 4 or 5 times. So many times that my mom and dad bought an NFL brace, or the school bought it. It was expensive, like over $1,000 for a brace that went over my shoulder and looked like RoboCop. It was this big, had hinges on it, and it strapped my arms and kept my shoulders from going out of place. So I did that for a season, and then that summer I got the scholarship. I didn't get the scholarship right away. It was a senatorial scholarship, which is given one per state to the highest graded student, or however they measured your smartness. And I didn't get it right away. It was given to a girl, had won first place in that, and she denied or rejected for some reason, she didn't want the scholarship. I can understand it's too much stress on individual to get, you had to keep grades up, all that stuff. So, when I took it, and on my way to the training that I was taking in Fort Knox, Kentucky, I got into that altercation, and the headbutts gave me amnesia. And so I lost my memory completely after high school and started with zero. My very first landing back on earth was basic training in Fort Knox, Kentucky.
And then that's where you had, this is just interesting,
the spiritual
experience happened very shortly after the amnesia.
I was in basic training for 8 weeks, or it's called Camp Challenge. It's for ROTC. And when I got back from that, I thought it was football camp for 2 weeks, but it was school. And so I was at football camp up here, and school was going on. I never went to class or nothing.
You constantly worry about his safety. Then why aren't you worried about this? Protect his brain. Prevent CTE. Learn more at stopcte.org.
When that happened, I remembered the nervousness of I was going through so much anxiety, and because I didn't know where I was at and what I was doing. I knew I was at
What you thought you knew?
I knew I was at an Army
Base. School. Okay.
School, and I was a rat.
Okay.
I knew that. I knew that the guys were yelling at me, and all the officers and drill sergeants and all that stuff at school were fake compared to what I just went through 8 weeks of, the real guys. So that stuff wasn't what made me all a mess. I was a mess inside because, first of all, I didn't know why I was what I was doing. I had a scholarship to go to medical school, and I had no idea how to think about that. Like I really couldn't think about how am I going to. I can't remember what I did yesterday. or 2 weeks ago. I was able to make new memories, but I just couldn't place myself. Like, how in the world I could. It's a really weird and hard, difficult thing to explain. Is that I lost my memory, but could still remember, and I could read and write and drive and all that stuff. Read a map, but I still didn't know what was going on. So that was what I was carrying inside. I got injured. I'm not allowed to, as a rat, you're on a schedule. You can do certain things you just can't do. Well, in the middle of the night, I was running across the football field to where they had the laundry and was doing my laundry that night. You're not allowed to do any of that stuff. And I was out doing that, and I tripped on a water sprinkler was sticking up out of the ground and busted my leg. And so I laid out there in the field until an officer around in the middle of the night, sometime 2 a.m, I think it was, found me in the rain, laying out in the middle of the field. And so while I was in the hospital bed that night, I just remember all this going through my head. I can't do this. I can't do this. And them telling me, you can't play football for a whole season now. And that's all I was doing. I wasn't studying. I wasn't thinking of studying. All I could do was get in that helmet and go hit. That's all I could think about doing. And so that was it. That answered my question. I can't do this, so I quit. And I called my mom the next morning after I had the dream. So I was laying in that bed, and what had to been a dream was a light came into the window, into the doorway. I saw it coming from outside. It filled the doorway of the room up. Then it filled the room up, and a figure came down and looked like it had to be like 9 feet tall. I never saw the body of it. It was just a figure of it, and stepped up to the edge of the bed and said, "I've got something greater for you to do." And that I woke up from that and said, "I'm leaving. I guess I have to be a preacher like my dad." It's the thought I had.
So that's what happened before you got married and became a dad.
Yeah.
So you were actually on track becoming a preacher.
Yeah.
And then there was a hard shift after you got married. Because at some point you got into sales and
I was never satisfied with what I was doing, like work-wise or money. Like I got a job right out. As soon as Monique was born, I had a job at a Teamsters union making big bucks. For a young man like that, I mean, the people that were working there were all 45, 50 years old, and this was a good career for a labor man, a blue-collar dude.
And then you had an injury there, didn't you?
Yeah, I got smashed by a forklift and a freezer box, smashed me and broke my back.
Your spine.
Mm-hmm, L5. And
well, so that was still not disabling from you from becoming
a preacher.
I got
walked out of there. No.
So that was still not.
I was still a youth pastor and preaching, and
that's not the reason why you
No. What happened to me happened over and over and over and over. But this was the very first time since amnesia that it happened. So I don't know where the place had happened at. I can't pinpoint the time, but I lost connection. I remember that there's a song I wrote called Alone that says, "Eyes in my head, back at me, touch in my hand, now I see, all alone, all alone." And it talked about me being here, but I can't taste you, I can't see you, I can't feel you.
So did you feel alone?
I was very alone, yes. And
is it why you started songwriting, or?
Yeah, that was exactly. I spent so much time with my guitar that my wife at that time broke one of them because that's all I wanted to do was play guitar and write, and I had to. I was so alone and so full of questions. Like I just wanted answers. And my father-in-law at that time, very spiritual man, very, well, carnal as all get out, but connected to the spiritual world like nobody I'd ever met. He saw things that only God knows, and he would reveal them, and it would shake you till your boots fell off, you know. And he did that over and over and over, like in front of people, out behind, didn't matter, wherever he went, it was powerful. And so I wanted that, because he read my mail. That's what you read my mail, dude. How'd you know that? And he knew things that I knew that's only God. And there's a God out there that knows what's wrong with me. There's a God that knows why I feel this way. And so it made me seek him. And, you know, we as humans fall a lot. Humans just fall. We fail. We screw up. And people put their faith in people, believing it's God in people. And then when that person falls, it ruins their faith in God, because they had faith in a man instead of God. And that happened to me. I had faith in men that.
So
And that's when I walked
just to
away
make
from
sure,
it.
I'm trying to figure out why you started a rock and roll band in Chicago, and you know, so this is not
Okay,
I don't feel like this is getting me closer to it,
Okay.
so help me out.
Well, I was writing the music to help.
Yes.
It was therapy.
That helped you,
It was
yes,
therapy. I was
of course.
journaling is
Yes.
what it was. And when I sang it and played, my wife hated it. She said you sucked. You know, I was like, okay, well, I don't care. It didn't affect me at all that she thought that. So I would sing and play, and just someone else heard it and said that, man, you're good. And then a guy that went to our church used to be a sound man for big rock bands in the 70s. Mm-hmm. And his opinion made that change in me. He said, David, you got what it takes to do this for a living and make a hit. And so he started giving me guitars and supporting me, doing my sound, pushed me to get gigs. I didn't even have a band yet.
I was just gonna get there, that you put your band together from your church.
Oh yeah, my drummer was the assistant pastor's son, who played the drums.
But
at
you guys
the church.
didn't start out as a Christian band. It's not.
Oh no,
you?
The thing about our music, like we started out Friday night youth service.
Oh, you did.
Was us playing songs that I wrote. Mm-hmm. My message inside the songs, and this is what I made it clear after I left the church, I never spoke about church and God in that sense again. But everything I wrote was through the eyes of the Bible and what I knew about Jesus. And I sound nuts a lot of times when I talk about how God talks to me, but I felt him and I heard him tell me to write these words.
So God inspired your lyrics, and essentially that's what fueled the whole.
Yep, that's what started the whole thing.
Passion in you to take it to the next level.
Yep, people saw that passion and heard it, and the first musician I ever played for became my guitarist. I had another guys in church played with me. But this guy was not a church dude. He was in bands in Chicago, and he ended up working with one of the guys in our church, and the husband of the girl that babysat Monique. And they worked on a Miller truck together, or Coca-Cola truck together, delivering beer and Coca-Cola. And he became my guitar player, all because this guy said he played a really good air guitar. He never. So I had Rick Swack shows up in his Trans Am or Camaro, like 80s like car, black leather jacket. Man, he looked so cool, blonde hair, 6'7", and all the guys were a few years older than me, and he knew his stuff. I mean, was just amazing.
So
And that's how it started.
So were you happy as a
That gave me joy.
rock star?
Yeah, that gave me joy. It didn't. I wasn't content. I was missing.
How were you perceived by your family? And
I don't know.
I don't. Well, I mean,
I really don't
as
know.
far as like the personality changes that you went through, I know your family, originally thought you were demon possessed. You already said that, but.
Mm-hmm.
What about, have you ever came across as lazy or just somebody who doesn't care about other people or somebody who's not motivated or?
I don't believe so. I remember my sister telling me that, I can do that and work a job. People do play, because I quit everything.
Well, that's a common, okay, like I know where you're going with this, but that's just very common when people become, like entrepreneurs versus like having an actual job. It's very, very common that a large percentage of their network is gonna tell them that that's not right. You could.
Well, I did. I worked hard. I had a really good work ethic. Everyone knew that. I was a salesman. I worked as a teamster and as a teamster, I worked 16 hours a day all summer long.
Okay.
And then after I would get home from that job, I wanted something better, which was daytime work. I was working graveyards.
Yeah.
And so I wanted a teamster's job or something that was better in the daytime. So I ended up getting a delivering beer job that started at 7, and I went to work at 9 p.m. and got off at 4 if I worked 8 hours. But they'd hold me over till 6, 8 o'clock always. So when I got tired of that money and that life had not been anywhere but work at night and sleep in the day, I had babysitting my daughter when I got, it was like, okay, David's home. So that was it. I went to work, come home, and my daughter raised herself for a few years. But I remember waking up, I'd be sitting on the couch and come to, and she had toilet paper slung all over the place. Daddy, that was the first 2 or 3 years of her life. That's what I was doing. But then I got exhausted. I wasn't sleeping hardly at all. And so I started working another job. So I worked at night, and then I got off work and started a day job.
And you did the music on side of this.
Yeah.
I think this is really important for people to hear.
I wrote all the songs. I did everything during that. Now I wasn't playing gigs yet. This was when I was writing my first album. My first album was written on no sleep. And when I met my band was at the end of my marriage. I think we were married maybe 2 years while I was in the band. We had moved to our final house that we were buying, and we had a beautiful 2-story, the basement was all finished and 5 bedrooms. It had enough space to rent like Airbnb at the bottom floor. And that was our rehearsal studio and all that. And so that's where I put my band together, in that place. I went from doing all that work as a union and teamster to finding this just chance job that I took a chance on. It was a polish that I chose to sell. I said, this stuff's awesome. I sell it everywhere. And then no one knew about it. It was sold in Reader's Digest and on QVC, and that was it. So I ended up quitting everything, and my wife about killed me because I had quit my secure job to depend on my paycheck being what I made my paycheck. And that's what I really wanted. I knew if I was in charge of how much money I made by what I sold, then I would be content. That's all. I just can't have someone else telling me how much money I can make.
So do you think it was the music or drugs that ended your marriage, or neither
Both.
one of those? Both of them?
It could have
Okay.
been both. I think I think ultimately what did it was my disconnection. Like I didn't care.
Right. And I meant to say that, by the way, just to
I mean, I cared a lot. Trust me. There
be
was
compassionate towards the other person. That must have felt really, really lonely to be your wife. When you
absolutely.
were like that.
I can't imagine. Like, I know what I was going through, and you know, as being married to someone, when someone's going through, you're going through it too.
Right.
But the confusion, that had to be the worst. Not knowing what in the world was going on.
What's going on? Yes, absolutely.
And I was totally, at the end of our marriage, I didn't give two poops.
And
you couldn't hurt my feelings. You couldn't offend me. You couldn't.
As disconnected you were back then, based on how you're describing it, as far as I know and what I hear from other, like females who ended up in relationships like that, where the husband didn't know that something was going on with them mentally, is that there must have been a block from you to even like admitting it or seeking help or all that kind of stuff.
I would never go to a psychiatric doctor.
Correct.
Until
That's
I was
exactly what I'm
30.
saying. So
and
that's a hard block when you're in a marriage and you know that something's wrong with the other person, but the other person is not open to explore it. It is. Yeah. I experienced it in my marriage, and I heard it from many other people too. So
it had to be difficult also because I was very grandiose. Like, I saw visions of the future.
Yeah.
I watched them come to pass. I wrote them down and saw.
Yeah, but you have to know what's going on in the now in order to.
Right, but I didn't have a connection with the world, Earth at all. Like, the only connection I had was Monique.
Yeah.
And then when that got taken from me at a divorce, when we split up, and I was no longer in the home with her. That took me dark and deep.
Yeah, you had a sick brain in a hurting body, and and I want to talk a little bit about the suicide attempts. And before we get into that, I'm just gonna say that we're gonna cut this. We're up to almost 45 minutes. We're gonna cut this, and then we're gonna do a part 2 where we're gonna talk about you and me.
You constantly worry about their safety. Then, why aren't you worried about this? We've known the big hits are bad. Now we're learning all those little hits can be worse. Choose Brain Safe Sports. Learn more at stopcte.org.